the spaceships to Davenport. Prepare for Divanarchy and interface with a couch in space. Season 7. Can you believe it? I can't, and we're only able to do this wonderful show from space and the colors that come out of it from our advertisers. This week, brought to you by a new sponsor, Super7.com/Space Couch Show is where you want to go to get the coolest toys in the land. You know, I'm always picking up stuff from them. And I just got these, I've had them for a while, but these Creatures from the Black Lagoon action figures they have are amazing. And also, so go to super7.com/Space Couch Show to get you some. Also, Liger Hawk Records is where you want to go. LigerHawkRecords.bandcamp.com. New this week, we have the Lost in the Singularity remix, as remixed by Gasland Vertebrate. 8-Bit Panda Strike has a new one called Let's Get It On. I think it's his best. Our Time, it's probably my new favorite song from Tommy Tantrum. Panda and his Uke has a new track called Narcissistic Nepotist, and Gasoline and Vertebrate covered the Hulk Hogan theme. All of that is available at LigerHawkRecords.bandcamp.com. You can tell I'm excited. This is already awesome for me. So without further ado, let's just bring in our guest. Ladies and gentlemen, writer-director Richard Stanley. Hey, what's going on? Thank you so much for coming to space. It's very, you're already familiar with it, of course, but it is midnight where you are, so I definitely appreciate your time. I went out to see Color in Space. I'm so nervous. The Color Out of Space opening weekend in the theater. I thought it was incredible. Like I said, for my money, the best Lovecraft adaptation. And I was especially impressed that it was updated to modern day, but not completely eroded. Like, with a lot of Lovecraft movies, it's the barest thread of DNA of Lovecraft and this whole other thing. But you were able to work in Nick Cage and Chong and all these modern elements, but leave the essence of it intact. How were you able to make that balance, if that's the right word?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's a great pleasure to be joining you on the Space Couch tonight. So, I'm coming at you from midnight in the French Pyrenees, in the heart of the so-called zone or Devil's Pentagram where I'm living. It's a great time to be chatting because it's the one time of the day when I'm truly left alone to think my own thoughts.
Fantastic.
And I'm a serious Lovecraft fan. I've been a Lovecraft fan all my life, so I wanted to do okay by the story. To do right by the material. And I think when you're adapting a classic piece of material, there's always a series of moments that you have to hold on to that need to happen in the course of telling the saga. But the trick is to arrive at those moments in ways that are new and refreshing, to get there in unexpected ways. The real brief on the whole of my approach to Lovecraft is to find ways of making HPL's work relevant again, not only relevant, but directly threatening to the kids of today.
Amazing.
I didn't want them to think that, it's something that happened in the 1920s or 1930s, or it's all about a quaint old pre-PC role-playing game that their parents used to play. I thought, I wanted to reposition the mythos as a clear and present danger to folk living now in the 21st century, because I do feel that Lovecraft's vision and his mythos is closer to us now perhaps than at any other time. I mean, we really feel like our lives have wandered out of control, or at least out of the control of known gods and known scientific forces, and we're pinwheeling into the territory of the unknown. And it seems that, yeah, Lovecraft's time has come.
Oh, I love that. Like, in the original story of The Color Out of Space, uh, not a lot happens, but the horror compressed into the movie is really captures that Lovecraftian sense of mood. I thought. I mean, the idea of a mother and child fusing together in some sort of eldritch energy burst was so uh, invasive in a way. I don't know. It just it violated like this sort of safety of movies. I thought that was so Lovecraftian while not being Lovecraftian. So I love that you
Yeah,
want
it's
to make him
close.
dangerous again.
Well, it is, and it should be. Folk ought to be aware of the mythos, and folk need to, yeah, respect Cthulhu. He may be a plush toy, but at the same time, Cthulhu is, yeah, very, very relevant. It was, yeah, one of the ways of doing that was by imagining what would happen if it was people that I loved.
Wow.
Happening to, like, so I projected my mother into it and myself into it quite a lot.
Really? So are
Um,
you Nick Cage? And
Um, I hope I'm less of Nick. Nick, however, was really channeling his dad.
really?
On a certain point, Nick's performance becomes a kind of a satire or I guess a venting of a lot of feelings about his own father. So there was
Wow.
a fair amount of that going on set, I think, in terms of connecting with the Gardner family. I
That
mean,
is. Go on, sir.
Lovecraft's pretty inhuman in the way that he treats his characters.
Mm-hmm.
The story itself, I mean, one of the many liberties I took with the sacred text was I compressed what takes place over years into a single season. So
Mm-hmm.
the downfall of the Gardner family does happen quicker in the movie than in the original yarn. But one thing that that always impresses me about Lovecraft is you can spend 3 pages describing the trees and the scenery to you,
Right.
but um, in Color Out of Space, the short story, the child and the mum are killed, I think, off screen in a single sentence.
Right.
The character
Right.
goes up the attic and it says when he left the room there was no one left alive in the room, like huge big emotional moments kind of dispensed with in 4 or 5 words. So yeah, the trying to breathe into that and imagine what if it was, yeah, my mum in the attic. It was
Wow. That
yeah, a
is
part of that process.
heavy. I I love it. I love it that it sort of informs a lot of, for me personally, why I think I connected with Color Out of Space so much is that it that it was so personal for you, and I guess the actors fills in that sort of blank space for me. Speaking of Lovecraft, now we gotta get to this. This is uh, I've heard it pronounced different ways. Correct me if I'm wrong. Dunwich or Dunwich horror. Uh, the internet tells me this is in production. Uh, can you
Yeah,
can you tell us about it at all?
I can a little. Dunwich is coming, and it's been coming a real long time. And we're going to keep summoning it and gradually
Oh,
condensing it into film.
yes.
And at the moment, it's taken the form of 2 movies because we discovered we couldn't make Dunwich in one film simply because it was too much for the level of private equity and the kind of investment that we can actually tap into. I mean, Color Out of
Wow.
Space is still a very low budget movie. It was made for about 3.8 million in terms of the actual
Really?
spend that we had on the ground. Yeah, it's still a small film below the line. The actual money that I had to spend on location in Portugal, and Color is set on a single property on a single farm, whereas Dunwich has multiple locations,
Right.
and also follows its protagonist, Wilbur Whateley, into Arkham, and shows us Lovecraft's Arkham.
We'll
It
get
goes
to
on
see
campus.
Arkham. Yeah.
Yeah, and it goes
Miskatonic
on
and all of
campus
it.
to Miskatonic University, and we see the university, we meet the faculty, we go into the rare books department, and we see the Necronomicon, and we open the book.
Oh, we get to
So,
see
yeah,
Richard Stanley's interpretation of the Necronomicon. My
yeah, it's
heart,
necessary.
tentacles are wrapping around the cockles of my heart. Um,
Yeah, and it's not even me aside. The Necronomicon does need to be reclaimed, repositioned, like much of the material. It's high time that this material got reviewed because yeah, a lot of different folk have imposed ideas onto the Necronomicon over the years.
mhm. So,
I mean, there's multiple hoax Necronomicons on the market. There's yeah, plenty of material to choose from. So I think it's high time to yeah, to reopen the book.
you want to
Of
get
course,
back
the
to
moment.
that Lovecraftian Abdul El Hazred version of it? Am I misinterpreting
Yeah,
that?
I mean, throughout it would be good to try to get as close to the original vision as possible. So a lot is going to hinge on casting Wilbur
Yeah.
because Wilbur, the man-child, yeah, protagonist and antagonist, is a wonderful fucking character. And then, yeah, beyond that, Miskatonic exists in different little bits and pieces,
Okay.
like wandering around Brown University campus and College Hill in Providence, Rhode Island. Little pieces of Arkham are there.
Right.
Yeah, like you can sit on the grave described in the Unnameable and see the same view of the
Yeah.
tree growing out of
The shunned house is there in
the shunned
Providence.
house is
I've
there.
been. It's
Yeah,
yellow, which is amazing.
yeah. These places actually exist, and wandering around Brown, particularly, I'm particularly in love with the applied mathematics wing, and the applied mathematics building is absolutely glorious. It's might as well be Hogwarts. So,
Is that where
yeah,
you're filming?
the desire to shoot on location in New England, in Rhode Island, with the full cooperation of the Rhode Island Film Commission, the Rhode Island Tax Department, who have given us the tax incentives we needed, and hopefully with private equity coming out of Rhode Island, this could be possible because it seems to me that there has never been a Lovecraft movie shot on location in Lovecraft country.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
yeah, and the guy spends 3 pages describing the trees in the countryside of the people. But whenever we shoot Lovecraft movies, for some reason we shoot them in Spain, Portugal, or San Diego. But so actually trying to bring Lovecraft home to College Hill and back to New England, I think, is a big part of making Dunwich breathe and
Oh man.
making it something definitive. It
Uh,
wants to happen.
I used to live in Boston and spent a fair amount of time in Providence. Did the whole saw his original house and everything. I'm a Lovecraft maniac myself, so actually doing Dunwich horror in Providence is kind of blowing
Yeah.
the remaining brain cells I have. That is
Well, I
so
figured it
cool.
had to be Providence. And it's so much Brown University and the Athenaeum Library Reading Room, and it's partly also because in Lovecraft's geography and the stories themselves, Salem coexists with Dunwich and Arkham as a place. In the Wilbur's family were driven out of Salem and fled inland to Massachusetts, to where they eventually probably somewhere in the Mount Athol area where they eventually settled. Arkham is a fictional place, but no mention is ever made of Providence. It struck me as strange that Salem and Arkham coexist in the same story, but yeah, Providence doesn't. So I've been looking at Providence as the proto-Arkham, as a way of shooting it and stitching it together so that we can conjure an Arkham on screen that fulfills all of our dreams as to what that place is going to be like. And on that subject, I also think that Butler Memorial Hospital is Arkham Asylum.
You think that's what it
I
is?
think the asylum. Yeah, I think it's the asylum where both of Lovecraft's parents died.
Mm. Wow. Okay.
In Providence. It is possibly the original model for the asylum, which we now all know holds the Joker and a whole bunch of other folk. But I do think Butler is the real life Arkham Asylum.
Okay. I just that is quite amazing for me. I mean, there's Lovecraft stores, of course, in Providence. That would just be so incredible. You're not connecting it to Color Out of Space, are you? Like making the Stanley Lovecraft cinematic universe?
Unfortunately, I'm not really allowed to.
Oh, okay.
For tedious legal contractual reasons,
Gotcha.
mostly related to the Spectre vision and the folk involved in the first movie,
Okay.
means that this Dunwich has to be a completely its own entity.
Gotcha.
Um, the way that it's evolved has also encouraged that process, because as we went deeper into it, we realized that we couldn't make like a $10 million movie. We were going to have to make like two 3 to 5 USD
Hmm.
Lovecraft movies instead, which split the thing into 2 parts,
Okay.
which
Hey, man, more movies for me. I'm all about it. Uh,
yeah, and also means we've got more runtime, which is
okay.
something that I'm keen on, because it means that it's enabled me to open it up and address sequences in the story that we would never have had time
Mm.
to address before in a single narrative. So it's, for instance, I can finally get at the Reverend Abijah Hoadley, the priest who preached the
Yes.
wild sermon about the forces underneath Sentinel Hill and then who disappeared
Yes.
without. So this like little 17th century anecdote which floats around
So
at the
good.
beginning of. And yeah, the Reverend Hoadley's sermon is so good as well. Like, you don't want to miss that. So yeah, it's given me a lot more elbow room for actually letting the material breathe, which and I think it needs to, because it's needless to say there's going to be a lot of fucking shots of trees in this movie.
Well, you got to catch the whippoorwills, right?
Yeah, whippoorwills are an important thing. I mean, there's whippoorwill sound only in Color Out of Space, but we did make certain that they were there.
Oh, really? Okay.
You can. Yeah, you can already hear the whippoorwills on the soundtrack of Color Out of
All
Space.
right, a little bit of a connection then. Not officially, not officially. If anybody from Spectre Vision is watching,
It's the same. It's the same Lovecraftian world. Having Nick Cage die in Color Out of Space, oops, spoiler alert, wouldn't be all right without having some whippoorwills out there
you
somewhere.
gotta do it. Speaking of things we gotta do, this Space Couch show primarily started as an industrial music show. So everybody I know is freaking out because we gotta talk to about the prominence of industrial music in your movies. Be it, we'll get into like hardware if you want, or even Einstürstende Neubauten on the Moreau soundtrack. You seem like a great industrial music fan.
Yeah, and I guess it was to do with the cultural moments that I landed
Okay.
as
Okay.
well. And that I got basically turfed into mid '80s London after escaping South Africa when I was 16.
Okay.
For a time, was desperate to take any job I could get. Was living was living pretty much hand to mouth, and landed at a time when the music scene was just going through this weird fusion of industrial and the death of punk kind of going on, yeah, simultaneously. Hardware was put together and shot in 1989, tail end of the 80s. So it kind of became a weird meeting ground for any number of folk who were sucked into the vortex we had going on. I was very grateful that we got an early Ministry track in there.
Totally. And
But
to say nothing of the Zone Tripper being the guy from Fields of the Nephilim.
Oh, my back. Christ.
as a little man.
Yeah, Carl McCoy, lead singer of Fields of the Nephilim. And how that
So
happened
cool.
was because Fields of the Nephilim were the very, very first people I ever did professional work for.
Really?
Yeah, I did their very first music video.
Really?
And it was my very first music video.
That's amazing.
And yeah, none of us knew what was going on. The whole the, the entire budget, it's a video for Preacher Man.
Okay.
The entire budget was £500. The crew was two of us with a handheld Super 8 camera in a wheelchair.
I love it. I love it. Well,
So yeah, full craziness. But landing in that scene, none of us questioned what we were doing. It never seemed to me to be coincidental that the Nefs, the people I was dealing with, wore wide-brimmed hats and had long greasy hair and the strange cowboy look, and that they were all into spaghetti westerns and Sam Raimi's Evil Dead. It just seemed like everyone was into that at the time. It seemed normal.
Love it.
It was, yeah. In hindsight, as I realized it was a particular, I guess, cultural moment. I like to think that the Nefs and the ministry introduced Cuban heels, long duster coats into the goth scene.
Hey, I mean, you can trace it right back. Not only that, hardware was sort of the basis of a lot of cyberpunk. A buddy of mine does a game called Neon Lords that he loves. And watching it again, you sort of call a lot of stuff like video phones and even drones with the Mark 13 and like a consumer market pot. Like, do you ever see?
Yeah,
go on.
The legalized marijuana, the government monopoly legalized marijuana, I think is the best call in hardware.
You think that's the best call?
That's the closest. Yeah, that's really spot on.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Like, do you ever see like a cybernetic limb or something, and like a commercial for like what's coming, and be like, I called that in 1990,
it's I guess cause and effect, but we were part of a continuum, and we were stealing from pretty much every single sci-fi comic book source that was around at the time, and every single album cover. So I can't
Nice.
say we invented all of those ideas. We were just manically mosaicing them into a new format.
Government
But,
cannabis,
at the
though.
same time,
We'll give that one to you.
yeah, we got that one. And Paul Catlin, who was the main genius behind the Mark 13 Cyborg, in terms of actually making that thing work on set and designing it. The main droid man, droid maestro, was a man named Paul Catlin. Paul went on to work with cybernetic limbs and with prosthetic limbs for
No kidding.
amputees. So, yeah, that became his life work afterwards.
Wow.
So,
You're setting me up amazingly. I saw a documentary on Star Wars, and they were talking about how C-3PO and R2-D2 were just this giant pain in the dick. Like, was the Mark 13 horrible to work with, or could your droid man manipulate it?
Oh yeah. It was a nightmare.
Okay. It looks great, but
yeah, it was so slow moving that you very seldom see the entire droid in a shot, because most of the time we're winging it with a droid hand or a droid head on a stick, and we had lightweight droids. But the entire set had to be built up on Rustra so that the thing could be operated from
wow.
From below the stage, and then most of the effect stuff and the mechanical stuff was so slow moving that the only way we were able to achieve it was to work the stage and the equipment 24 hours a day. So we had a second crew that came on about half an hour after the Union crew switched off, and then who shot through the night. That way around, we were able to actually get most of the effects footage that were after. We shot with the human actors in the day, and then
really?
a second crew. Yeah, it meant every time I went to sleep, I lost coverage. So we did have.
It sounds okay. So when
it only went on 6 weeks, so it was okay.
Okay, well, that's impressive. But just so I'm getting this right, when we see the Mark 13 menacingly reach out in a shot, that could very well be 24 hours worth of work just to get that one shot of that one menacing, look of the robot.
Yeah, some of it took a long time. The gore stuff
Wow.
took an awful long time. I mean, it's worth noting that little Chris, who was our main gore man, Paul Kaplan was the droid man, but it was our Chris Cunningham from
From
Best Remembered for the Aphex Twins, who was the main gore boy. And we all called him Little Chris because he was 15 years old
No, he wasn't.
at the
Wow.
time. He had his 16th birthday on the set. He turned 16 on hardware. Oh, yeah.
That's so cool. I want to turn 16 on the set of hardware.
Yeah, by the time he reached our set, he was already a veteran of Hellraiser, Nightbreed, Rawhead Rex.
Wow.
He came up through Image Animation through the Clive Barker movies. He must have been doing those while he was 14, real fucking young.
Mozart, damn.
Yeah, he went off hardware he got hired from hardware onto the Stanley Kubrick production of AI.
Really?
Where he was initially put in charge of building the little girl robots. It was
Okay.
originally a little girl before it became Haley Jasmine. It was meant to be a robot. So it was going to be Kubrick held him prisoner in a warehouse somewhere for about a year and forced him to rebuild this robot over and over again. I think Chris found the experience so soul-destroying that he realized that if Kubrick could do that, then he could too, and he wanted to direct. The rest is history.
Amazing. We can circumvent this one if you want, but I am led to believe you have an insane chronicle about dropping acid at the Cannes Film Festival. Is that a tale we could tell?
I'm happy to tell anything. I mean,
all right, sick.
The 21st century, they can kill you for any reason these days. And
yeah, they can.
The most ridiculous things can cause offense. So I don't see any harm in actually telling a genuinely offensive story.
Oh yeah, you're in the right place for that. Like, we're out in space, man. International waters, no rules.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, in point of fact, what happened was because hardware was an insane experience. It was 6 weeks of basically 24-hour mayhem, and that came right hot on the heels of me coming back from the war in Afghanistan, which was my problem. But I hadn't been sleeping much for a long time. And I was very religious during the shooting of hardware. I completely was not stoned. Totally approached it in a very clean and sober and very mechanical, methodical way. Got through the beast, and then we went through the edit, and the edit was a big number. Mostly because the original editor died. A few weeks into the edit, Richard Bedford, who was the initial cutter on hardware, passed about 3 weeks into the cut, and it actually took 3 editors to pull the whole movie together. So by the time we reached Cannes, I'd been clean and sober for a really long time, on call and on point for a super long period of time, about a year. Finally, we had our first screening at the Cannes Film Festival, and the film was kind of a hit for our expectations. We got a theatrical release. We got reasonably kind notices, and the audience seemed to enjoy it. We weren't slaughtered. So, and I kind of shook all the hands I thought I had to shake. So then we got a second screening at Cannes. The second screening was open to public, and it was a midnight screening, which with a much younger audience. And I thought, okay, I've done my duty. I've delivered the movie. The film's played. The film's been sold to the distributor. It's done. It's over. I can stop now. I thought, okay, tonight I will I will break my fast. And
Hell yeah.
I think I took a tab of acid and went in and watched the movie under the influence of a reasonably strong psychedelic.
Okay.
And this was actually a very valuable experience for me because, of course, it enabled me to completely see the film with new eyes, to basically come at it with from a fresh vantage point. And for the first time, I realized it was kind of working.
Oh, okay.
That because I, I I feel every little problem and every little missing beat in that movie normally, but
Right.
I had a good time with it, and the audience was having a good time with it too. And it was probably the first screening of Hardware that I kind of enjoyed, and that I wasn't just yeah, sitting on the edge of my seat in panic.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. I feel you. I feel you. Like if I'm listening to one of my own songs, I hear everything I messed up. But if I can ever sit back and just listen to it, it's pretty.
the problem being this was some kind of like early '90s Black Pentagram LSD or something.
Oh shit. Okay.
It was a powerful hit. That stuff goes on for about 12 hours or
Right.
something, and Hardware's only like
It's an hour
whatever it
40
is,
minutes.
yeah, 95 minutes long or so. It's yeah, I loved the movie, but then the movie ended. Uh, and I was still tripping balls. And, made my way out of the theater with the rest of the crowd. At which point, just arriving at the theater to presumably congratulate me was Harvey Weinstein, the American distributor who owned my movie. Um, um, I was coming out completely spaced. Um, um, and I saw Harvey and, from my subjective position, he seemed to be a troll or an ogre,
Not far
something
off.
you might find under something waiting underneath the bridge in a fairy tale. He seemed very large. Grey. I recall the beads of sweat that were clinging to his forehead and skin, and he was reaching out towards me with his hand. I guess he obviously wanted to congratulate me or shake my hand. And given the circumstances, I panicked. And ran away in fear.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
Oh,
mm,
that's hilarious.
yeah,
Um,
and I fled in a state of panic terror through the streets of Cannes.
so good.
Which actually, and there was a final episode to that too.
Yeah.
A lot happened, of course, in the running in panic through the streets of Cannes. But how that ended was I was finally running through what I seemed to be a safe area, and I saw a swimming pool through the trees. And I ran down through the trees, and randomly dived into the swimming pool that I saw, and held my breath and went to the bottom of the pool, and kind of uh, found myself at the bottom of the deep end. And in fact, a bunch of folk had been sitting, smoking a joint or hanging out by the pool. They'd seen this mad person run past them, suddenly jump into the pool. Some of these folk were, in fact, Einstürzen and Neubauten, and it was the tour manager for Einstürzen and Neubauten who dived into the fucking pool and pulled me out, which that actually happened in 1990.
So Richard Stanley dove into a pool, and the tour manager of
I thought I was in trouble.
because he thought it was because
Rescue.
you thought Harvey Weinstein was an orc, and then
Yeah,
the tour manager of seminal industrial band Einstürzen Neubauten pulled you out of a pool. That's maybe the best story I've ever heard. That is amazing.
That was my Cannes 1990 experience. Other
Wh-
things happened also during that festival, and it was pretty berserk.
That sounds, man. If I ever get a time machine, I think that's number one. Um, wow.
Yeah, we didn't realize that it was the end of a good time. I mean, the British film industry started to crash and burn almost a year later or
Okay.
so, and then the the 90s were a much more difficult time to get that kind of movie off the ground.
Hmm.
I
Interesting.
mean, Hardware and Dust Devil were the last of their line in a way, because
Interesting.
they're still old-fashioned movies shot on 35 millimeter.
Why do you think that
Um,
is? Like, what
um,
changed?
yeah, the corporate takeover started. Independent cinema basically started to disappear. All the
Okay.
cinemas started to become multiplexes. The entire original distribution network broke down. New technology arrived. Both Hardware and Dust Devil, like I say, are shot on 35 millimeter old-fashioned dolly track frames. I had a helicopter on Dust Devil. Them days will never come again. Both of them, yeah, full union crews. It was kind of the end of a certain way of making cinema. I managed to just get my foot in the door
Wow.
at the period.
Well, not only are they amazing movies, but time capsules of production, I suppose. Uh, Speaking of both Dust Devil and Hardware, I wanted to ask you about your working with relationship with the late William Hootkins, who some of our audience might know as Jack
Oh,
Porkins
yeah, yeah,
from Porkins from Star Wars Stay on Target. Um,
yeah.
Quietly, my personal MVP in Hardware, playing the peeping Tom perv guy, and nailing it as a South African cop in Dust Devil, like just ping ponging all over the place. Was he just able to flip on that entire personality, or what was he like?
You can flip it on.
Fucking nightmare. Whole place has been gutted. House is full of body parts. Looks like it's been hit by a commando unit. Ben, I think we're dealing with terrorists here.
Right, you can only disengage it from the main console.
How do you know?
I used to be with a surveillance company, installed all the locks and cameras in this whole block a few years ago. That's how we know each other. But you made me a coffee while I was here. Black, 2 sugars?
I don't remember.
It's okay. I don't mind.
And Bill was a genius. Bill was incredible.
Okay.
Bill could do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a chameleon. I mean, and Bill was in everything at that point in time. He's like more ubiquitous than you can imagine. I mean, my resolution was to cast Bill in every single movie I made, because he's also plays the Grizzly Bear Man in Island of Dr. Moreau. Barely
Wait,
glimpsed.
he's in Moreau? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Bill Hootkins is also in Island of Dr. Moreau, and he was quite heavily in the portion that I shot. He was the freighter captain, all of which is eliminated from
Okay.
the movie. But he's also the Grizzly Bear Man. He does actually appear in that capacity in the commercially available Frankenheimer cut. Bill
So-
shows up as a monster.
Not only is he an
Totally-
Afrikaner cop and high tech perv, he's also a grizzly bear hybrid. Amazing. Oh,
Yeah, but outside of my fucked up Earth, Bill's also the guy who confiscates the Ark of the Covenant from Indiana Jones in
Right.
Raiders of the Lost Ark. And Bill's also the corrupt cop who the Jack Nicholson Joker kills in the original Batman.
yes.
So Porkins is all over the place.
Porkins is-
Bill was a chameleon.
He's got a great scene in
he's-
Death Machine. Like he's a good guy. Good stuff.
Yeah,
That's
he was,
amazing.
and this is greatly. No, I mean, gone way too soon. In that, obviously, Bill's departure from this vibrational frequency means that I can't cast the motherfucker anymore, which is very annoying because I keep writing Bill Hootkins parts, and I know them when I write them. It's
Really?
like, shit, this is, a Hootkins part.
Do you just feel that like
I'll have to,
that would he would be good for the part? Like when you're writing
yeah,
it.
it'd be
Okay.
perfect. I can see exactly what Bill could do with it, but I'd have to channel him back from the beyond in order to be able to recast him. He had a hell of a voice too,
He
and
did.
I mean, for Bill Hootkin's completists, the thing I'd recommend is Bill did an unabridged audiobook version of Herman Melville's Moby Dick, in which he reads the entire book, and plays everyone. He plays the entire crew of the Pequod. So you get to hear Bill being Bill's Ahab, Bill's
Oh,
Starbuck, Bill's Queequeg. That's a real. Whenever I miss him, I go to my audio recording of Moby Dick.
oh, we got Space Couch audience. We got some homework. Oh, that is speaking of ships at sea. We've just uncovered some buried treasure. Thanks so much for that recommendation.
A great man, Bill Hootkins, is possibly also one of the most underrated actors.
I would,
And
I would certainly sign off on that. I wanted to ask at least a little bit about the Island of Dr. Moreau. IMDb cites you as an uncredited director. Is that like some sort of contractual Hollywood thing, or I'm not sure what an uncredited director means.
God knows. I mean, first of all, it should be known IMDb lies.
Does it?
Yeah, fully. On many things, on credits,
Okay.
on budgets. There's jiggery pokery on IMDb all over. So
Okay.
I have no idea who
All
comes up with those things. But beyond that, I did direct some parts of Island of Dr. Moreau, and for a while I was the director of the Island of Dr. Moreau. But to be fair to anyone trying to understand from the outside, Dr. Moreau was a process that was so insane,
Okay.
that was so batshit crazy on a day-to-day level, that things changed and were very hard for anyone to keep track of what was really fucking happening. And there are periods of time where almost anyone was doing anything.
Sounds like a nightmare.
I think there was a period of time when Firuza Balk was writing the script. There
Really?
was a period of time when, the animal behaviorist Peter Elliott was directing the movie. The DP wanted to direct the movie. It's just full mayhem went on. I think everyone had a turn at writing the script, and
oh wow. Well, now I know that the movie was such chaos, and what uncredited director means. But
I directed some scenes that mostly didn't make it into the final movie, and also did a lot of aerial work and some underwater stuff.
Oh, okay, awesome. Yeah.
Actually, shot some of that stuff with the sharks and the dinghy by the time the changeover happened.
Okay. Well, awesome. It sounds like a horrific process to just sort of be, out at sea, pardon the pun, with no one to lead the ship. But I'm going to lead you into one of our favorite features here on Space Couch. That's the radiation round. Called that because lightning is exceedingly rare in space, but it's basically a lightning round. No wrong answers. Say whatever you want. Question 1. Give me your ideal meal.
Belgian waffles. Maple syrup, and maybe some butter. Maybe a side of cream. Yeah.
Very strong. Very strong. Question 2. If you could have animal powers like Dr. Moreau style from any animal, do you know what that would be?
Well, like most folk, I'd obviously choose flight, because that's something that we all wish we fucking had.
Right.
Flight and the ability to breathe underwater are two big things that animals have. But on a Lovecraftian basis, boy, what I wouldn't do for their sensory apparatus. I mean, the sheer ability to see beyond the human visual range.
Yeah, hell yeah, get that from beyond going on with
Yeah,
the
because
machine.
they animals can see things we can't. They can see colors that we can't.
I
And
love
they
it.
can, yeah,
I
and
love
they
it.
see stuff that's invisible to us, and just as some of them can't see stuff that we can see, it's freaky as fuck. So the opportunity
I love it.
to
I
see
love
is
that you
really
went to
nice.
perception. That's so Lovecraftian. And well, we already kind of touched on it probably, but I had the question I had written down was for number 3, who in your opinion is the most underrated actor?
Yeah, well, beyond Bill Hootkins, who we've already lionized, I mean, there's a lot of other folk out there who I've loved and adored who I just don't think have quite gotten their kudos. I love Tom Noonan,
Mm-hmm.
who played the original Red Dragon Killer in Manhunter, but also played the zoologist in Wolfen, which is an underrated werewolf movie from way back when. And I
Yeah.
kind of like anything that Tom does, and wish he was seen more often. Of more famous folk who
I
deserve
mean, Tom
bigger.
Noonan's a great
I mean,
answer.
yeah, going a tad more famous, but not famous enough. I'm a huge Stacy Keach fan.
Oh, wow.
I
Okay.
always thought Stacy Keach should have gotten an Oscar for Fat City.
For you cut off for a second. For which movie?
I always thought Stacey should have gotten an Oscar for Fat City, the
Okay.
John Huston movie, Ninth Configuration by William Peter Blatty is one of my favorite movies. I've loved everything that Stacey Keach has done, from Sergeant Stadenko in the Cheech and Chong stuff, and through just all of his many manifestations, turning up dazed and confused in Italian cannibal movies.
Is
but
that
yeah,
the
I've always
connection to
admired-
Chong from Color Out of Space?
Yeah, I love the Cheech and Chong LPs and their original
Yeah.
stand-up routines when I was young, and they were heroes to me when I was probably 15 years old or 16. So the opportunity to get Tommy Chong into Color Out of Space was
Very
kind
cool.
of a dream come true moment for me, and Tommy was incredible.
He was
And,
so scary in that movie. But
Yeah, and I would happily port Cheech into a movie too. I think those guys are great.
if we could get, maybe Wilbur could be Cheech Marin, get some tentacles coming out of his
Nah,
belly.
but there may be room in there. Wilbur's going to be special.
Awesome.
It's going to be new.
Awesome. So from the top, that was. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
We're still looking for our Wilbur.
See?
I think he's going to be a fresh face.
Yes, love it. From the top, that was Belgian waffle with some butter, maybe some cream. Anything with ultraviolet extrasensory perceptions for animal powers, and Tom Noonan and Stacy Keach, in addition to Bill Hootkins for underrated actor. And now we'll go into everybody's other favorite feature, hypothetical spectacle. This is where we just sort of wax philosophical. Would you ever want to see any of your movies made into a video game? I don't know if they would particularly lend themselves to that, or if you're a fan of that genre.
Oh, they surely lend themselves to that genre, and
Okay.
I dearly wish that I could take it down that route. While hardware may be the obvious one, I do believe that if we can find the right partner, a Dunwich horror video game could actually change the fucking world, because it has
yeah.
tremendous potential. Yeah. Boy, would I like to do a VR Necronomicon. Just the ability to go into the reading room, open the book, and work the magic, have it work. But with an AI which is strong enough that it's a bespoke magic, that the same fucking thing doesn't happen every time you try the sorcery.
Right.
It gives back differing responses, and if the magical system is sound and is based on solid fucking research. And certainly, the moment you step into an Oculus-style VR headset, you've got a three-dimensionality as well. You've got an above-below and a sideways to work with, and I think the potential of taking the Necronomicon into cyberspace is potentially very large indeed, and it would certainly get us burned at the stake in Florida, probably.
Let's do it.
I would love to see such a thing. I think it has awesome potential.
Hell yeah, that's such a good call. It's not like Dungeons and Dragons Zot wizardry where you just sort of spells work the same every time. This would be real Lovecraftian. Like, I kind of don't know what we're doing. Weird. Oh, that's very exciting.
Yeah, and if it's we are working hard to make the magic in Dunwich as real as possible, and that I do want it to be a magical system that makes consistent sense throughout. In this respect, have been drawing on a lot of scholars, a lot of people over the last few years to concentrate on what is going to be on page 751 of the Necronomicon, and what it is that Wilbur needs the book for, and how to complete the ritual. So that's propelled us into a deep examination of the different Necronomicons that have been put forward over the years, including the most famous one, the Simon paperback Necronomicon, that along with LaVey's Satanic Bible is probably the book most commonly retrieved from teenage death scenes.
To say nothing of the Army of Darkness flying Necronomicon. There's been several interpretations. I love that. I love that Richard Stanley is developing a magic system for the Dunwich Horde. That's the best sentence I've said all day.
It needs to be, and it needs to be a proper three-dimensional wraparound system. And we started basically by adapting stuff from the Kabbalah, but then basically wanted to also break the root to the Hebraic traditions, and the link to the to the Hebrew alphabet. So and also to realign it so that it wasn't a solar-based religion, but it's deliberately a Pluto-based religion. So it's deliberately aligned towards Yuggoth.
Yes. Oh, it's a Pluto because that's where they. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, that is A plus. It's. Yes. Sorry.
I'd love to do that. I'd love to be able to give that to gamers. I do think that we could create a game which is outrageous, because I think a lot of the issues with Lovecraft role-playing gaming is that people are always coming at it from the position of the investigators.
Right.
And if you're looking at it instead from the position of Wilbur and the poor Cthulhu cultist who has to try to reclaim that book and complete their ritual, and all these other fucking assholes from the professor through campus security and everything else is trying to stop you from achieving your mission.
And your sword cane. I got a ritual to complete. Like that.
We need to open to Yog-Sothoth. Open the gate. And I think.
This is the best answer. We can close on this. What's something, if anything, about your filmography that people don't understand?
I guess the documentaries don't get enough play.
Okay.
Because I often think that the documentary stuff, particularly the early stuff, and here I'm thinking The White Darkness, which is the voodoo documentary we shot in Haiti, and Voice of the Moon, the shorter film we shot during the Russian withdrawal from Afghanistan, are possibly my works which will survive the longest. And I think that those things are going to still be around in a few hundred years. If anything, if some future culture has anything to scavenge from the stuff that I've shot, I've got a feeling that those bits and pieces will have some archival value for future historians. So they're kind of lying around in the filmography and don't get enough views.
So you have double homework out there, Space Couch audience. White Darkness. What was the name of the Russian Afghan one?
The Voice of the Moon was the film we shot in Afghanistan.
Check those both out. Amazing.
I'm fond. White Darkness might be my best movie.
You think White Darkness is your best movie?
It's quite possible.
Okay.
White Darkness might be my best film.
Interesting.
I'm very proud of some of that movie, and particularly I'm about somewhere around the halfway mark. It's got a very good middle.
Oh wow!
It's kind of my voodoo cannibal holocaust, but yeah, I think it stands up good and it's surprising. It starts out like a voodoo documentary, but then goes sideways in quite terrifying ways.
Well, I know what I'm doing after this interview.
Yeah, check it out. I don't think it's on YouTube. It's
oh wow, okay.
It's found out there, yeah, and I think it's got a very strong ending, and starts to get. Has that effect of where you start to feel you're going a little crazy from about halfway through, a sort of integral delirium, which is something I try to do in everything I do, which is a sense of escalating madness and hysteria, so that by about halfway through, you're, as in Hardware or Color Out of Space, you start to feel you're losing your mind a little, or that one's consciousness is changing a little, and I think White Darkness does a good job with that.
Hell yeah! Woo! Okay, so what did we learn today? We learned that Richard Stanley is a bona fide Lovecraftian scholar. Dunwich Horror is going to rock. It's going to be 2 movies, you guys. He was right there at the start of Industrial Music, was saved on an acid trip swimming pool by Einstein and Neubauten. Chris Cunningham.
All that happened. It's true.
What's that?
It's all happened. It's true.
It all happened. I mean, that's a movie right there. Chris Cunningham from Aphex Twin was 16 when he did the Mark 13. It took 24 hours to shoot, like each part. Dr. Moreau was a shit show. Bill Hootkins is the man. Belgian Waffles and Stacy Keach and I know we have some video game connected people out there. If that pitch doesn't sell you on the dopest Oculus video game ever, I don't know what is gonna. Dunwich Horror is gonna have a magic system. We will be looking forward to that. Mr. Stanley, thank you so much for coming to Space and the Colors Therefrom. This is probably the best episode ever that we've done. So this is Brian for Space Couch, for Richard Stanley, and the upcoming Dunwich. Oh, you also got to check out the White Darkness there at home. I got excited. The upcoming Dunwich Horror. What do you call a trilogy if it's only 2?
It's only 2 so far. If people actually turn up and watch the thing or support us, there could be more.
You heard it here first. Call the spaceships to Davenport, prepare for humanity, and prepare and interface with the couch in space. Thank you so much, sir. I'm just going to go to the outro now. I let us talk over the outro if you want. Thank you so much for taking the time after midnight there in the French Pyrenees. That does not go unnoticed. When my friend said that I should try reaching out to you, I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. But, man, and I'll stop recording.